It was a busy weekend of hoops on the Bluff. Volleyball's Hannah Troutman concludes a decorated career, and we sit down with cross-country and track All-American Lauren LaRocco. These stories and more coming up next on Portside with the Pilots.
Portland Pilots are the 2016 West Coast Conference champions. Welcome to another edition of Portside of the Pilots. I'm Adam Lindman. 'Tis the season for some hoops, and there was plenty of hardwood action at the Chow Center last week as the men and women's teams combined for 4 games in 5 days.
First up was the men, who hosted Cal State Fullerton on Wednesday night. The Pilots got off to a red-hot start, jumping ahead 13-0, but the Titans recovered and would eventually come all the way back to claim a 10-point win. Philip Hartwich scored a career-best 15 points in the loss. Portland rebounded to defeat San Jose State in front of a vocal crowd on Saturday night. The Pilots featured a balanced offensive attack, with Josh McSwiggan leading 4 players in double figures with 14 points. JoJo Walker added 13 points and 5 assists, and the Pilots were solid defensively, holding the Spartans to just 35% shooting.
What stood out is the guys we had come off the bench and really give us great play. Rashad came off and did a great job for us, guarded, made some big plays. D came off the bench as well and did some good things for us. So those guys really did some great jobs. And then everybody else in regards to the starters, I think everybody we shared the ball well. And, we didn't get into too many over-dribble possessions, and just like the way our mindset, really like the way we came about locking in and playing for 40 minutes and concentrating.
Last week, Coach Porter paid a visit to a 5th grade class at River Grove Elementary School in Lake Oswego. The visit gave the kids an opportunity to interview the former NBA star for an article they're going to publish. There was no shortage of questions from the class, and it also allowed them to improve their communication skills as well.
5th grade class, good morning. Hello. Start with the questions. Sure. Yes, right there. Yeah.
Would you like to meet Michael Jordan?
I played against him. One of our NBA finals, we played against the Chicago Bulls. We lost, but we played against him, and so I got really close to him quite a few times. We exchanged sweat, I guess you could say.
What we're doing here is we're asking kids to find an intrinsic interest of theirs, maybe something that they normally can't write about in school. So that could be sports, that could be video games, but there's always stories there, there's always something to write about, somebody to interview. And so the sports team decided they wanted to interview Terry Porter.
It's very exciting. We were always kids at one point, and we always have people we looked up to, and have an opportunity to interview them. I'm sure they're very excited about having a chance to ask questions, and they had some great questions.
What advice do you have for kids our age to becoming a professional athlete in the NBA, and WNBA, or any professional sports?
Well, the first and most thing is to work extremely hard. Try to figure out which of those sports you think you have some really good skills for. You got to be willing to work when there aren't thousands of people watching. For when you get a chance to play in front of thousands of people, you're ready.
One of the things that I'm hoping that the students get out of this is a level of confidence in the way that they speak to other people, the way that they carry themselves. And I think you saw that. They're sitting there, they're very respectful, they introduce themselves, they extend their hand, they take turns asking questions. They're really respectful to one another, which is really big, and they're really respectful to the person they're interviewing.
Just remember, if you can't see the camera can't see you. 1, 2, 3. Go Pilots! Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Go Pilots!
Well, there's no rest for the Portland Pilot runners as the indoor track season has arrived and Portland hit the ground running, as seniors Jeff Thies and Matt Welch and junior Logan Orndorff each recorded new 5,000-meter indoor personal records at the Hoosier Open, which was last Friday in Bloomington, Indiana. Thies finished 2nd overall, and his time was the 5th fastest all-time in school history. Orndorff and Welch finished 5th and 6th, respectively, and they were followed by Caleb Webb in 8th. Portland's women's basketball team split a pair of home games last weekend as Boise State and Warner Pacific visited the Bluff. The Pilots fell to the Broncos, but they put together a dominating performance during a 95-59 win over the Knights. Senior Sarah Zaragoza collected her first career double-double with a career-high 15 points and 12 rebounds. 5 Pilots scored in double figures as Josie Matz and Kate Anderson also recorded new career highs with 17 and 16 points respectively. Portland shot a blistering 52% from the floor and outscored the Knights 30-8 during a decisive third quarter.
Our main focus was to get back to what we do, and this week in practice really focused on just effort in terms of getting up and down the floor with a pace. It was really about us this week, and then it was nice to see it translate over. I thought you really could see the effort up and down the floor, just moving the ball up and down side to side. Sarah, with her first double-double of her career, it was great to see her just be aggressive in the game too. Finished really well in the paint, did well from the free throw line, so it was great to see that. Darian had 6 assists. A couple of girls had 4 offensive rebounds, so just being able to crash the glass and be effective on that way too.
Lauren LaRocco took the fall cross-country season off, but she's back and already setting records on the track. Coming up next, we sit down with the redshirt junior for a one-on-one interview. Portside of the Pilots continues on NBC Sports Northwest.
Welcome back to Portside of the Pilots. We're joined now by Lauren LaRocco, a redshirt junior for the women's cross-country and track and field team. Lauren, thanks for joining us today. Let's look back for a second. 2016, it was a historic year for you and your team. You're the WCC individual champion. You won the team title, competed at nationals with the team where you got All-American, and you also got All-American accolades on the track. Talk about what that year was like to experience.
That was a really amazing year. Just getting that experience on the national level really sort of elevated my mindset and my goals. And especially with the team, it was a lot of fun. Having that year on the track and being All-American got me thinking bigger and kind of trying to spread that to the whole team. And then qualifying for nationals as a team for the first time in school history was one of my proudest achievements. And it was really cool to just be there with the team.
So then fast forward to this year, you chose to use your redshirt season. First of all, what was the thinking behind that? And then also, what did you do this fall? And it was a little difficult to watch your team run without you?
Yeah, it definitely was. So I originally decided to redshirt so that I could get my master's in biomedical engineering because that's just a one-year master's program. So I thought that was worthwhile. And I'm also glad that I redshirted just because then I have another year to get better at running because that's something I really want to pursue. But it's been hard redshirting. I think it's going to be worth it, but yeah, it was definitely hard to sit out cross country. It's just fun to be with the team. Cross country is such a team sport.
And you spent some time in China this fall. Talk about that experience.
That was really neat. I remember when I went to Europe this summer, I was like, wow, Europe is so different from the US. And then I went to China and I thought like US and Europe are pretty much the same. China's really different. I'm really glad I was able to get some study abroad experience because usually I'm always in season all the time, so I can't study abroad. But redshirting allowed me to go to China over fall break, and we visited some engineering companies, and we did a bunch of fun stuff as well. We walked the Great Wall, and yeah, just did some touristy stuff. So it was really cool to just experience that culture.
And you mentioned your travels. You've been to Switzerland, London, Amsterdam, Germany. Do you like to travel? Has running taken you to all these places, or what has taken you to these exotic places?
Yeah, I feel like running has sort of indirectly taken me to these places. So except for El Salvador, I went there with Team USA for U23 championships. But yeah, especially having international teammates, it allows you to just sort of hop around Europe, and I got to meet up with some old teammates in Europe, and I think that's one really cool part about our team.
Do you have a favorite place you've been?
My favorite place in the world is St. Moritz in Switzerland.
Oh, cool. So now back in the States, you opened the indoor season a few weekends ago at the Boston Opener. You broke the program indoor record in the 5,000 meters. After redshirting and going to China, what was it like to have such a solid performance in your debut event?
Yeah, that was a huge confidence boost, just because I've been putting in a lot of work and mileage. I haven't really done many track workouts before that, and I wasn't really sure if I'd just be able to jump back in with the best girls in the NCAA after being out of the NCAA for almost a year. So just being able to jump back in there and hang did a lot for my confidence, and I'm just really excited to get in more races.
So you've come a long way since your freshman year. Talk a little bit about how you got to this point in your collegiate career and how much hard work and training has gone into it.
Yeah, freshman year is always hard. It's just such an adjustment. I got here and there's so many resources as an athlete to better yourself, but you just don't really know how to use them yet. You're just trying to take care of yourself and you don't have your parents anymore. So it was like a slow start, I would say, but just my teammates, Ian, all the support here really helped me, and just having other people believing in me and then me believing in myself. Like once you start thinking big, then you can accomplish pretty big things. And so I would say that's a pretty big part of how I got here.
Very nice. So away from the track, you're heavily involved in SAC, which is the Student Athlete Advisory Committee here at UP. You're the president. What kind of responsibilities do you have, and what does SAC do? What are some of the things they do for athletics and beyond?
Yeah, so one of the main things I do is I go to the SAC leadership conferences. So I went to one at Pepperdine over summer and then one at Santa Clara this fall. And so we talk about WCC specific things. And then, for instance, this fall, we voted on a lot of NCAA legislation. SAC organizes a lot. We do community service, and we just try to get participation from athletes in various things, whether it's attendance to games or community outreach.
And also mechanical engineering major. Why did you choose to pursue that major, and is that something you want to get into after you graduate?
I really liked science and math in high school. I thought engineering sounded challenging, so I decided to challenge myself and do it. And it has been very challenging, but I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, next year I'll be getting my master's in biomedical engineering. So that's something I would like to pursue, maybe after running. I'm really interested in building machines for athletes, whether it's performance analysis or injury prevention or that sort of thing.
So the indoor track season has begun, outdoor season right around the corner. What are some of your goals this season?
So I'm hoping to qualify for indoor nationals in the 5K and the 3K. And then I'd like to do the 10K, 5K double at outdoor nationals again. And yeah, hopefully All-American.
Lauren LaRocco, thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck this season and beyond.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we look back on the decorated career of UP Volleyball's Hannah Troutman. Portside of the Pilots continues after the break. Welcome back. The Portland volleyball program has undergone a resurgence during the past few years, and a major reason why is the play of senior Hannah Troutman, who recently had her indoor collegiate career come to a close. An Oregon native, Troutman began her career at Oregon State before coming to the Bluff, which she calls the best decision of her life.
Troutman from the back line with authority.
Hannah Troutman, how many points has she accounted for here tonight? Kept alive by the Pilots. Troutman gets a swing and the point.
What a beautiful thing. She's just so athletic and phenomenal.
Is there anything Hannah Troutman can't do? Troutman. Another kill for Hannah Troutman.
I started playing volleyball in about 5th grade. So I played soccer before that. We lived in Eugene, and then we moved over to Central Oregon where I live now. It was a big volleyball town there, and everybody played volleyball, and so I decided to try it out and fell in love with it.
Troutman again. That one was tipped, point Pilots.
I grew up on a lot of acreage. I have horses, we've had pigs, goats, kind of the whole shebang. And we did a bunch of rodeos and stuff. I am more of the knit and grit. We do rodeo, so we did barrels and poles, and so that was like my first, thought was I want to be a rodeo queen. Like that was my ultimate dream. Things change, but I really liked competing for volleyball, and so I kind of picked one over the other.
And there's Troutman going cross court.
So I actually did track. I started track because I wanted to improve my vertical for volleyball. And the coach told me I needed to run the 800, which is a long race for a girl who does not like to run. And so I told him that I would throw 2 events. And so I decided to throw shot put and jab, and really was begging him, please don't make me run this 800. And actually I threw it and did really well, and he just was like, holy cow, we're gonna have you throw. After my experience at Oregon State, I decided that, javelin wasn't my favorite event. So a teammate that used to go here is from my hometown, and she was playing sand volleyball with my sister, and my sister made a comment of, Hannah should transfer to UP. And, this other player said, is she really interested in transferring? And my mom said, she's thought about it, because after the fall, I decided, I really missed hitting.
We were excited to have her in state. Hannah knew that she wanted to play Division I sports because somebody told her that she wasn't good enough to play Division I. So it really became a motivator for Hannah. So when she decided Oregon State, we were excited for her. And then it was a defensive position, and Hannah missed hitting.
So I played as a defensive specialist with the hopes of becoming a libero down there, which is a completely different position than I play up here. It was one of the big reasons for transferring. So I came up here, and Brent basically said that we have a sand team, and that's during the same time as track, and I really wanted to focus on volleyball. So she got on the phone with Brent and went back to UP and talked to Brent and said, hey, this kid wants to transfer. She doesn't even know I'm talking to you yet.
We were comfortable with the University of Portland. We were nervous as a family, because she's starting all over again, and Brent took a chance on her. So she was nervous starting over again, but it actually turned out to be the best thing that happened to her.
I got a call from my head coach saying, you should think about signing your release. So 2 days later, I think, I went in and signed my release with Oregon State, and we called Brent together, which was awesome. They were super supportive of it. Called Brent, came up on the visit, and I was committed that same day. It was crazy.
I didn't imagine that she'd become the kind of hitter that she's become her senior year.
Troutman with authority.
She's dominant as an attacker right now, and in a league of really tall athletic blockers, she's just doing a fantastic job.
So I transferred midsummer, which is kind of different. A lot of people transfer right after the season. I transferred midsummer, so I had that entire summer to kind of catch up and relive hitting, and was definitely a struggle at the beginning. By the time season came around, it was a lot better.
Each year she's developed more and more as a hitter and got more and more range, more and more ability to deal with different kinds of sets.
Down the line, big swing by Troutman.
Troutman must be feeling good. She's just such a great role model for her teammates.
He just really focuses on the fundamentals and really getting better as players and individuals, and I think that's so important to win, and he's here to really make you a better volleyball player, and that's what's turned this program into such success. They welcomed me in like an open family. This whole team did, and that was such a cool experience for me, coming into a whole program that's really family oriented and really wants the best for everyone. The days go by slow, but the years go by fast. The double days, the practices, they go by so slow. You're looking at the clock like, holy cow, I've still got another 2 hours. But when you look back on it as a senior, it went by so fast. You're super excited for senior day to come, and everyone came and watched, and it was incredible. I had so many family members come out and support, but it's a little sad, you realize that your time is up, and I wish I had more time. This is the best decision I've ever made. I've just had so many opportunities here, and everyone is treated like family, and coming here I had the best experience, and it made me really happy.
There's Troutman again.
Following some time off to focus on final exams, the women's basketball team stays at home next week to play their final 2 non-conference games of the season. First is a visit from the Weber State Wildcats on Sunday with tip-off set for 2 p.m. Then comes a somewhat rare Wednesday afternoon game when the St. Francis Red Flash come to the Bluff from Pennsylvania for a 1 p.m. game on December 20th. Portland is led by junior Julie Spencer, who's averaging 12 points and 7 boards per contest. And at 4-5, the young Pilots are off to the program's best start since the 2013-14 season.
I think with youth, you're going to have kind of some ups and downs in terms of them learning the pace that you have to play at consistently from game to game. For as far as where our growth is, I think it's probably where we expected it to be, and it's just going to continue to grow and get better as they understand just the principles of our offensive defense, and then being able to be just more comfortable out on the floor.
The men's team travels north to the Emerald City this weekend to face the Seattle Redhawks on Saturday night. Portland will be hosting a pregame function for fans while in Seattle, which is slated to begin at 5:30 p.m. at TS McHugh's. It costs just $10 to attend, or for just $20 you can get a ticket to the game and the pregame event. The Pilots then return home to host Hartford for their second-to-last non-league game of the year, which is scheduled for Tuesday, December 19th at the Chow Center at 7 p.m. Home court advantage has taken on a new meaning for the Pilots this season thanks to a group of students from Christie Hall.
G is just awesome. He kind of makes athletics like something that's relatable to the guys, and a lot of our freshmen and a lot of the guys in the dorms see him as like a really, really good friend, and just to have him there and like advertise for the games and get people excited, I think is probably the main reason why we have so many Christie guys coming to the games, just to support him, because he supports us when he's in Christie. Now that we have such a good, solid group of guys who go and support athletics and do other things just outside of athletics that are amazing for our dorm, it's pretty cool to see like the future that our student section will have and the future that Christie will have with athletics.
Well, that does it for this week's Portside of the Pilots. Be sure to send us any questions, requests for content, or just give us some feedback on social media by using the hashtag Portside. We'll see you next week.